Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. Happy Tuesday to each and every one of you that are watching right now, and I thank you for doing so. I hope that you're taking a break from social media like Facebook. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Facebook today. We've all known that there is some kind of deep, sinister plan behind it, that they hire all sorts of behavioral science engineers and they use a ton of psychology and they like to play manipulative little games on the people that sign up to their terms and conditions that go on for like 100 million pages and you know that nobody ever reads it, right? No one ever reads it. Who has like a year to read something like that?
Facebook Statement of Rights and Responsibilities. Privacy. Your privacy is very important to us. We designed our data policy to make important disclosures about how you can use Facebook to share with others and how we collect and can use your content and information too. Because your privacy is very important to us. So we want you to know how we're going to be using your stuff all the time. So go on and read and read and read and read. And don't forget to sign on the bottom line.
You want to share all your pictures and your meals and your vacations and all of that stuff. You want to show everybody, you know, how great your life is. Hopefully it is great and you're not just projecting it out there, meanwhile being miserable, because studies are showing that Facebook makes people very unhappy and very isolated. And the truth about Facebook has just come out. That's right, the president of Facebook, the former president, I should say, Sean Parker, you know, of Napster fame, well, he basically dropped a bomb on Zuckerberg and his team. And some other information has come out that will really make you question whether or not you want to spend all that time on social media, because they're all making us a bunch of zombies. That's what's happening. They're all basically isolating us from each other. They're not connecting us together. What they're doing is they're turning us into ferocious consumers who just can't get ahead and can't find any bit of peace, because that's the way it's designed. It's called the web for a reason, and you're just a fly in the trap. And Facebook is the social giant that needs to be slain today. So the show today is all about that. Woo! Wait till you find out some of the things that are going on behind the scenes. You may question whether or not you want to update that post and you want to get on there for a couple of hours instead of spending time with your family and making intimate relationships with those that matter. I hope that you're buckled up, people, because we're going to give the faceplant to Facebook today. You know, listen, social media was it was helpful to me in the beginning. In the beginning, when it started, when I actually first went on there, I saw how easy it was to get trapped into, you know, that nonsense, which will steal you away from your family, steal you away from real liberty and life, and actually just get you focused onto this little box that you're constantly trying to get your dopamine fix from by constantly seeing if you got your pictures liked or if your post was commented on and all that. And I gotta tell you, I got sucked into it many moons ago. Well, not really sucked into it, but I mean a little bit. Like, you know, there was a time when I actually would worry. I'm like, oh no, why aren't they commenting anymore? And it would bother me. And that's the psychology behind it. And we all know this. We all know that psychology plays a deep role in all of this. That, you know, these things are engineered to consume as much of your time as possible. They don't care about your life. They don't care if little Joey needs, you know, to be hugged and kissed and tucked in bed. They don't care if Martha and Miriam are upset because you're not paying them enough attention. They don't care if Daddy Theodore, you know, it feels like his wife isn't giving him enough attention anymore, because they don't care. They want to consume your time and steal your time and get you focused on things that don't matter at all. Like, hey, take a look at my new eggplant that I just made. And I don't even like eggplant, but man, does it look good. Check out the picture. the founding president of Facebook. He was recently interviewed. I don't know if you caught this interview. If you're not, I'm going to give you the blow-by-blow, and I'll read some of it to you, on Axios. And it was a really revealing interview. If you haven't gotten a chance, I'll link it below, and I think you should check it out.
Thought process that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them, to really understand it. And that thought process was all about, how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible? And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever. And that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you, more likes and comments. And it's a social validation feedback loop that it's like it's exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology.
So Sean Parker, the founding president of Facebook, gave a candid insider's look at the social networks and how the social network purposely tries to hook the individual and keep them away from their real life.
And I think that we the inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's the Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
Parker is 38 years old. He is the founder of the Parker Institute for Cancer, and he spoke at an Axios event at the National Constitutional Center in Philadelphia. He got into Facebook in a big way. And I just want to read, some of these quotes, okay? He said, when Facebook was getting going, I had these people that would come to me and they would say, I'm not on social media. And I would say, okay, you will be eventually. And then they would say, no, I value my real life interactions. I value the moment. I value the presence. I value intimacy. And I would say, we'll get you eventually. Because you see, now he knew what was going on behind the scenes. He knew that, gabillions of dollars were going to be spent to keep you hooked, like a little lab rat trying to get some cheese that's all moldy. He goes on to say, I don't know if I really understood the consequences of what I was saying because of the unintended consequences. The network, when it grows to 1 billion or 2 billion people, it literally, listen to this, changes your relationship with society. And man, has it done that, right? And they want to say that they have nothing to do with the fall of society. They have nothing to do with the fact that there are more mass shootings than we've seen, that depression is higher than ever before, that suicide is higher than ever before, that the drug epidemic is higher than ever before. People are isolated, and the research shows it. I'm going to get into the research in just a second. He goes on to say, it probably interferes with productivity as well. Well, we know that, right? We do know that. There are many corporations right now that have like a no cell phone policy because people are so sucked into their social media they can't even do their jobs anymore. And he says, God only knows what it's doing to children's brains.
Here are 5 crazy ways that social media and the internet are affecting your brain right now. Can't log off? Surprisingly, 5 to 10% of internet users are actually unable to control how much time they spend online. Though it's a psychological addiction as opposed to a substance addiction, brain scans of these people actually show a similar impairment of regions that those with drug dependence have. Specifically, there's a clear degradation of white matter in the regions that control emotional processing, attention, and decision-making. Because social media provides immediate rewards with very little effort required, your brain begins to rewire itself, making you desire these stimulations. And you begin to crave more of this neurological excitement after each interaction. Sounds a little like a drug, right?
It's like a drug, and you got to keep going back for more. You ever notice that, you'll post something, and then you'll check it, and you're like, oh, well, I didn't get any comments. And then what you'll do is you'll pull the screen down like a little lever at a slot machine. And then it'll start to do this, and you're like, oh, show me the comments, show me the likes, show me the big money, right? It's all designed for a reason, to keep you a slave to it. And then spending money, because if enough people aren't commenting, boost your post for $5. Boost your video for $20. Get more people to see it. You're constantly being fleeced here. If you honestly think that you're not being played on a regular basis, from what you watch on TV to what you see on your computer screen to your phone to your tablets to what when you walk into a grocery store, to how everything, you're constantly being played, and you're turned into a mindless drone who needs to work to buy so that the wealthy can get wealthier. Where once life was valuable because you'd spend it with people that you love, now everybody's on their phone. Everybody's pulled away from everybody. And it's like, if you don't stop this and nip this in the bud and change that dynamic in your home, man, you don't even know how many children are trying to take their lives, how many children don't even know who they are, how many children are trying to find some kind of validation in other things, how many children are going to start taking drugs, how many children, we're raising a generation of mindless, miserable slaves. And that's exactly what the corporate sinister powers that be want. Which is why I guess Sean Parker, after years of profiting off of this, maybe he got a little twinge in his conscience. And he said, you know what, I got to come out and tell everybody how evil this place really can be.
The inventors, creators, and it's me, it's Mark, it's the Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people, understood this consciously, and we did it anyway.
They understand this consciously, and they did it anyway. So he said that he understands that this is going to actually be a part of the downfall of society. And they did it anyway, because my goodness, look at how much money they're making. Look at how much power. Mark Zuckerberg gets to go off and meet world leaders now. And because he knows that this place right here can manipulate as many people as they want to manipulate. And you don't even know you're being played. Do you know that a little while ago there was a Facebook experiment? People were up in arms about this. Facebook revealed that it had manipulated the news feeds of over 500,000 randomly selected people and changed their news feed from positive to negative. And they did this for a while. Now, could you imagine if you're glued into this thing? Like the studies are showing, people are spending ridiculous amounts of time on Facebook, on social media, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on what I don't even know, on the flippity floos. There's so many applications that people are just hooked into, Facebook being the gigantic one. It was part of a psychological study to examine how emotions can be spread on social media. The company says users consent to this kind of manipulation when they agree to that massive terms of service, like I was telling you earlier. That, they agree to it. They agree to being experimented on like lab rats. But think about this, okay? There's a great scripture that says that the light of the body is the eye. Many people have said that the eyes are the doors to the soul. So whatever we perceive becomes our reality. So if you're nonstop watching misery, and you're nonstop watching depression, and you're nonstop watching stories about loss and hatred and prejudice and bias and filth, that's gonna affect you, because whatever goes into the man, if it takes root inside of the man, it can grow into a corrupt tree. And then next thing you know, you're spewing hatred and filth and vile. How many times have people been manipulated online to share a story that wasn't even real just because it popped up? And it popped up in so many people's news feeds that people just say, oh, that must be it. Next thing you know, you're angry and you want to grab the torches and go and tear down the organization that supposedly was the cause of whatever it was that they were saying. Meanwhile, none of it ever happened. It was all just a bunch of nonsense. So Facebook did this. Facebook manipulated people. And how many people probably took their lives, or became alcoholics, or started doing drugs, or how many people left their spouses, or how many families were broken apart while this was going on? Because all you need is that little straw to break the camel's back. Life, this world system, this corrupt world system, is hard enough as it is. This is not a distraction. This is a trap, people. The biggest one of all. So spooky is this place that they're talking about already implanting microchips into your brain so you don't have to type your comments anymore. You can just think it and boom. Now, I and my family, luckily, thankfully, have pulled out of it. You know what I'll do now is I will read some messages on Facebook and I'll post a video. You know, every once in a while I'll write a poem, but I don't get hooked into it. I don't go to the home wall. I don't look at the wall. I don't do that anymore. I did that years ago. And then I realized, my goodness, you know, it's like I felt like I was being a little bit hooked into this thing. And then I saw that, you know, that my wife, Danielle, she was a little bit hooked into it. And then I found the two of us are on the bed together when we usually hang out. And all of a sudden, the two of us are doing this, you know? Oh, what are you reading? Oh, you're reading now? Okay, good. And it was like, wait a minute, we got to put the brakes on this. We got to stop this because this is coming between us. And guess what? It did. And it does. Do you know how many relationships are broken apart because of Facebook? Do you know how many? A lot. How many people are having these virtual relationships with other people that they don't know because they're getting attention from this as opposed to putting their attention where it needs to be, at their home, in their life, in the real world, not the nonsense garbage consumer virtual world. Lauren Weinstein, okay, she's a privacy activist, and she wrote in a Twitter post, I wonder if Facebook killed anyone with their emotional manipulation stunt. At their scale and with the depressed people out there, it's possible. And it is. Oh, and they apologized, but they didn't say they were going to stop doing it. And it hasn't stopped them from growing. And it hasn't stopped them from making money from who they consider to be meatheads, you and me, and everybody else that has a Facebook account. Because that's all we are, right? We're just a dollar sign. We're just a drone. Well, I say that maybe it's time that ends. You know, there's a good side to it, too. You get to connect with friends that you haven't seen. You know, you get to connect with family members. Through Facebook, three other brothers that I don't even know, I got to know. So there is a good thing to this as well. But like anything else, it's really what you take out of it. And if you're going to get sucked into the nonsense that they're throwing at you, you're gonna regret it. Trust me. Facebook is so spooky. They want your biometrics. They want to basically, because they have 2 billion people, they have everybody's photos, right? They want to be able to sell these, and they are. And there was actually last year in Illinois, there was an Illinois biometric law, which Facebook is saying is unconstitutional. Unconstitutional. They should be able to, you know, sell your picture and give it up to whoever needs it. Only a few states have biometric laws, Illinois, Texas, and Connecticut. But many consumers-facing companies are attempting to monetize or store and analyze this biometric data. Facebook's making a ton of money off of this, and there are only a couple of states that aren't allowing it, which is crazy. Because you know what? I don't want my face to be in some program, but it already is. There's nothing I can do about it now, right? All right, so let's talk about the psychological ramifications of all of this. All right, I don't have to tell you that suicide is higher than it's been, depression is higher than it's been, opioid addiction higher than it's been, isolation, record numbers, right? And yet we're supposedly so much more connected now. It's not real. None of it's real. Social media exacerbates perceived social isolation. One of the ironies of overusing social media is that instead of making someone feel socially connected, the latest research suggests that a heavy use of social media actually exacerbates feelings of social isolation. Isolation is not a good thing. We are meant to connect with people. We're not meant to be isolated. You know, I bumped into a strange, peculiar young man, and he just looked a little bit off. And I just took a moment to get to know him and talk to him. It was just in passing. It was like at a store. And I decided to talk to him. I talked to him for about a half an hour, and by the end of the conversation, I had found out that his older brother had abused him, that he has no friends, that people make fun of him, that he feels incredibly isolated, and that he doesn't have really any kind of life besides what he does. And he seemed very angry. And I was thinking back to a video I did about a week earlier where I said that, you know, if one person can just come into somebody's life and just offer hope and offer love and offer friendship, maybe it could stop that next mass shooting that we don't want to hear about. Psychologists have said that the best way to stop this stuff is to stop making these guys anti-heroes. Stop playing it again and again and again in the news so that people who feel isolated say, darn it, I'm going to be heard now. They won't hear me, but now they'll hear me. They don't know my name, but now they'll know my name. This is really got to stop. This feedback loop that Parker is talking about, it really has to stop. We have to open up and connect to people. We have to have real world relationships again. We need to show love. We need to forgive. We need to come together and just hang out and talk. We need to say hi to people we pass. We need to take the time to talk to our neighbors, because isolation is not a good thing. When people are alone, they are weak, but when we are together, we are strong. According to a new national analysis conducted by researchers at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, young adults in the U.S. who use social media more frequently than their peers report much higher levels of social isolation. This was March 2017, this report. And they're talking about the dangers of it and where this can go into the future, because now the next thing is virtual reality. Now, listen, if you think that your phone right now, you're already virtually living in a world that is in this little box, this little black mirror, which is, it's all witchcraft to a certain extent. But if you think that that's a new life out there, you know, they even have, a couple of years ago, they started this thing called Second Life. It's like a virtual world where you can go in there, create an avatar, and you exist in there. People exist for hours and hours and hours of time. They never leave their house. Probably got boxes of Chinese food and pizza boxes, and their house is probably a disaster. Well, that's what I think of when I think of you know, hermits that are just isolated and 100% living on fast food and misery. And my goodness, life is meant to be lived. We got to get out of the house. Studies have shown that if you don't get enough sunlight, that it can hurt you. So you wonder why those chemtrails are there, right? Blocking out the rays of the sun too. There's so much that is trying to keep us miserable, people. We need to wake up. We need to snap out of it. The research is showing. This was in Psychology Today. This is an important issue to study because mental health problems and social isolation are at epidemic levels in our young adults. We're inherently social creatures, but modern life, it's isolating us instead of uniting us. It's making us hate instead of love. And really, it's not the other people that we're starting to hate. We're starting to hate ourselves. While it may seem that social media presents opportunities to fill a social void, which some people, critics of this video, will say, the study suggests otherwise, that it is not the solution people are hoping for, but actually the cause of the problem to begin with. We need to unplug people. We need to take a time. Listen, if you're on it for an hour a day, cut it to a half an hour. See if you feel a little bit better. If you're on it a half an hour a day, cut it to just 10 minutes. I mean, I'm not saying stop it completely. You know, I'm glad that we're connected. You know, YouTube's a little bit different because YouTube's it's not social media so much unless you're in some kind of a live chat. But even that's a little bit better than Facebook. Facebook it's so cold and it's so isolated and it's just so corrupt. And you have to get away from being marketed nonstop. You know, Obama, I did a video on the Brain Initiative a while ago. He basically created this behavioral science think tank a couple of years ago, and they're in operation, and they're finding ways to get people to do things without people even knowing they're doing it. You ever hear Pavlov's dogs? You know, every time that the dog was about to be fed, there would be a bell so the dog's mouth would start to salivate. This is what's going on. And it's all a huge, huge, terrible experiment that is taking us for everything we got. And I'm here to say that day is going to change. Because now each and every one of you watching here, you know it's true. If social media has come between you and your family, you know what you need to do. Your friends on Facebook, you know, those people that comment and like, and those people that you feel like you're so connected to, they don't know the real you. But the people that are around you, your family members, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, they know you. They're with you. These are the relationships that we need to nourish. And when you do, trust me, take it from somebody that knows. Take it from somebody that has had a marriage that has been a beautiful thing and a terrible thing and has worked to make it the most amazing thing ever. There is not one relationship that is beyond repair, but Facebook is not the answer. Finding, you know, your connection in a virtual world is empty. And I want you all to be filled. And the only way you're going to be filled is if you understand that you need to put your faith in more than social media. We have to educate ourselves and we have to unplug, because this stuff is keeping you distracted from the bigger plan that's going on, and it's stealing your life away from you. And I hope that today, I hope you hug somebody and you give somebody some love, because the answer is only one simple prayer away. Teach me the truth no matter what the cost. Help me to love my family better than ever. Help me to find peace. Help me to get out of this rut that I'm in. I'm not telling you who to pray to, but I'm saying that there is more. Don't believe there isn't. And don't put your faith in something that isn't anything to begin with, but a trap designed to steal and rob your joy to begin with. I love each and every one of you. I'll see you again. I'll try to get a show out to you on Thursday or Friday. But every Tuesday, don't forget, please subscribe. Share the channel around. The channel's been getting hit. It's the weirdest thing, man. So do me a favor and help. Get the videos out to people. Tell people subscribe to Jacob's channel. And I love each and every one of you. And I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.